All right, future barristers, listen up. If you're gearing up for the Queensland bar exam, you know evidence is everything. Today, we are going to unlock 3 sections of the Evidence Act that are, frankly, your keys to getting modern, machine-generated evidence into court. And look, these aren't just rules to memorize. These are tactical tools you are absolutely going to use. Okay, let's get into it.
So, picture it. You're in court. You've got that one document that just blows the case wide open, a computer log, maybe a financial record, a data trace. But then, the other side gets to their feet. Objection, Your Honor. It's hearsay. It's not authenticated. This is a scenario you will face, and the answer is hiding in plain sight in the sections we're covering today.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll tackle the problem these sections are built to solve. Then, we'll break down the master key, which is Section 95, before moving on to the very specialized shortcut of 95A for DNA. After that, we get to the fun part, the advocate's art of arguing inferences under Section 93. And we'll wrap it all up with a checklist designed to stick in your brain for exam day.
Let's set the scene a little. So much of the evidence that wins cases today doesn't come from a person, right? It comes from a machine. We're talking surveillance footage, breathalyzers, complex lab reports. And this creates a huge headache for the traditional rules of evidence.
Think about it. The old rules, they were built around human statements. But is a printout from a breathalyzer really hearsay? Not really. I mean, who do you cross-examine? The machine? There's often no single person with direct first-hand knowledge. So, Sections 95, 95A, and 93, they are the legislature's solution. They are the modern framework for modern evidence, giving you a clear pathway to get this stuff admitted.
Okay, let's start with your absolute workhorse, Section 95. This is your go-to for pretty much any computer-generated document in both civil and criminal proceedings. It's designed to admit statements produced by, well, almost anything that isn't a person.
And here is the first critical detail you need to clock. The Act used to say computer, but that was seen as way too restrictive, so they swapped it out for the much broader phrase device or process. And this wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate move to make the section as wide as possible, to future-proof it against whatever technology comes next.
Now this little nugget from Forbes, this is pure gold for your bar exam. It flags that the definition is intentionally vague. If you can mention in an exam that the precise boundaries of device or process are still being worked out by the courts, you're showing a much deeper, more sophisticated understanding. It's a top-tier point to make.
So how do you actually use it in practice? Well, Section 95 lays out a very clear certificate procedure. Step 1, if you're the party relying on the evidence, you serve a certificate on the other side, and you've got to do it at least 10 business days before the hearing. That certificate basically vouches for the device. Step 2, the ball is in their court. They have a very specific window. They must give written notice if they want to challenge it, at least 3 business days before the hearing. You see how procedural this is? Miss that deadline and you could lose your right to object entirely.
And the sheer breadth of what Section 95 covers is just incredible. I mean, we're talking about everything from your standard business records and ATO data to the results from a breathalyzer, logs that trace a phone call, CCTV footage, and even forensic evidence of computer hacking. It is an unbelievably versatile and powerful tool in your kit.
Okay, so if Section 95 is the master key that opens most doors, Section 95A is like a high-tech, specialized key card. It applies only to criminal proceedings, and it's designed to solve one very specific, very tricky problem: getting complex DNA evidence admitted without a massive fuss.
And just like S95, the procedure here is a tactical battleground, and it's all about the deadlines. The prosecution serves their DNA certificate at least 10 business days out. Then, the defense has a critical window. If you want to cross-examine that DNA analyst or challenge something specific in the certificate, you must give notice at least 5 business days before the hearing. For a defense barrister, missing this deadline is, and I'm not exaggerating, potentially catastrophic.
So what does this magic certificate actually do for the prosecution? It proves 4 key things: the chain of custody, that the sample got to the lab on a certain day, that it was tested on a certain day, the DNA profile they got from it, and, this is a big one, that the lab followed all its quality assurance procedures. It just streamlines the whole process, so you don't have to call every single lab tech who so much as looked at the sample.
And here's the real kicker. The secret superpower of this section is the presumption in subsection 10. The equipment used for the DNA testing is automatically presumed to be accurate. The burden isn't on the prosecution to prove the machine works. The burden completely shifts to the defense to come up with actual evidence that it might not be accurate. That is a massive strategic advantage. All right, finally, we get to Section 93. Now, this one's different. It's not a rigid procedure like the others. You should think of it as an invitation from the Act to, well, to advocate. It's your secret weapon for proving a document is what it looks like just by using your brain and the context around it.
And the rule itself is just beautifully simple. The court can look at the document, its form, its content, the circumstances surrounding it, and draw reasonable inferences about whether it's authentic. This is where you, the advocate, get to tell the story of the document.
So in the real world, what does this look like? It means you're on your feet connecting the dots for the judge. You can argue that a document on official company letterhead is probably a real business record. You can point to a letter that was found inside an orderly chronological file cabinet as evidence it was made in the ordinary course of business. Case law tells us a consultation sheet that is laid out exactly like a medical record can be inferred to be one. It's Advocacy 101.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil it all down into a high-impact checklist for you to take into that exam room. This is the stuff you absolutely have to have locked in.
Right. Section 95, its job is to admit documents from any device or process, and the pro tip there is knowing that its definition is deliberately vague. Section 95A, it's all about streamlining DNA in criminal cases, and the critical pitfall is that unforgiving 5-day deadline to challenge. If you miss it, you're toast. And finally, Section 93. Your pro tip is to remember this is your chance to argue, to use the document's form, its context, its very appearance to build a persuasive case for authenticity.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. Mastering these sections, it isn't just about reciting the rules and remembering the deadlines. That's the science. The art of advocacy, the skill that's going to make you a great barrister, lies in that final step. You know the rules, but how are you going to stand up in court and artfully, persuasively argue the inferences? That right there is the real challenge.